Hi guys, we're going to tie another Steelhead fly tonight. I suppose a simplish version of an intruder by a guy called Jeff Hickman, and this is the fish taco. So this is going to be like a black, purple, red theme fly. So we'll go ahead and give it a go. So here we have a shank that I've made myself. I have a video, if you look for it there, where I make shanks myself out of stainless MIG wire or welding wire. So as you can see, until you get it started to bind down, a little bit bendy, but once you get started, the whole thing will steady up on you. So I'm using here a heavy sort of red, fluorescent red type thread. And once I have that on, I'm just going to put down a layer of super glue and wind into it, and that'll just give us extra stability in the fly. And it'll give us a base to put on our intruder loop. So here, use your wire, use whatever you're used to using. I'm going to use 25-pound Maxima Chameleon. I'm going to leave maybe an inch or so of that pointing out the back. So what I want is one strand down one side of the rear eye and one strand on the other. Pull them to the same length. And once they're in place, bind that on. So once we've wrapped a thread on that, we'll then super glue it and fold these other ends back and tie over them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim them off shorter than the rear of the fly is coming to. So then I can wrap back over them rather than having to get them to the back and then trying to trim them. A little bit more awkward if you try and trim them tight to the back here. So we can create less of a step when we're coming over with our tying thread. So we'll now super glue all that again, and that should not pull out. So this loop here then will take our stinger hook. So rear part of this fly I'm going to use is like a red glister type dubbing. So we'll just create a dubbing ball. And wrap that at the rear. Sort of like an attractor point. And then we'll take a copper or brass colored wire and tie that in as well. So the body is like a purpley blue glister type dubbing. Start to spin that. Once you get a couple of fibers trapped, then you can twist on your dubbing. And we'll wrap the body with that. A little bit more at the front. So we need a little bit of room at the front here because we're going to have a bunch of ostrich fibers and a hackle to go on at the front. So we're going to rib the body with our wire, but we're going to use it to contain this palmered grizzle hackle. So we'll tie that in by its stalk. and then we want to wrap this rearwards. Turn it to front, and then take that down the body in even turns. I can not let go of it this time. When I get to the rear here, then I'll take my rib, catch it, and then I'll rib up through that. As you can see, I sort of wiggle that as I wrap, and that means I shouldn't be trapping stuff down. So when I get to the front, I put on a few wraps of my wire and snap it. That saves you busting your scissors cutting wires. So time now for the ostrich. So we're going to use black ostrich here. So picking some that has a decent tip to it. Place that on until it comes down to the back of our loop and a little bit beyond. We'll just allow that to splay around and trim it off. So then we'll flip our fly over and repeat that process on the underneath. So again, a bunch of 10 or 12, 15 fibers maybe. So I'm just going to measure these up for length so they're the same, and trap that in and tie back to the same point. Trim that. So next we want to put on some black like flashy blue kind of stuff. So I have a mixture here where we possibly have 15 or 20 strands anyway. I'm going to put that on to the length roughly of our ostrich, maybe even a little bit longer. I've let it splay all around. I'll just even it out around. Tie back over it. I'm going to take this whole bunch now back and measure it to length and trim that. Then I'm going to take my super glue. I'm going to super glue maybe an 1.5 or 2 inches of my thread. And then I'm going to wrap back onto that. And now what we want to do is fold this bunch back over the whole thing. So you can do that by hand, or you can take a straw. It's a useful way of folding it back as well, but I like to just sort of splay it back and then use my fingers. Fold the whole thing back. And because you're tying in on synthetics there, we'll just glue it again and wrap over it just for security. So finishing this fly off, we're going to put on a guinea hackle, or galena, whatever you want to call it. So take that, find the tip, fold back all these other fibers, nip out the tip, and holding the last few fibers of it here, I'm going to tie in across the very tip of the stalk that's left, fold it back on itself, and then I will slide that between my forefinger and thumb, and that'll double our hackle as we wrap it. Just fold back the stalk. So now to finish our fly, I'm going to super glue my thread again. This time we'll super glue 4 or 5 inches of our thread, hold back all our materials. And that should give us a bleb of super glue to wind into and work with. And when the fly is finished, you can use a whip finish tool, but I use my fingers. Trim off on our fly is done. So I'm just going to use one of these eyeliner brush things here and brush out our fibres. So as I said, all that remains then is to add our hook at the back and finish the head. So the head requires several coats of varnish, so obviously we can't sit here for half an hour watching varnish dry. So I'm going to put one on for now. And until next time, tight lines, and thanks for watching.